As an English professor in the US, I'm always asked which books work well for adult English learners, and here are my top picks. The Alchemist. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read, and many of my students learning English at the college level agree. Without giving away the most exciting part of the book, I can tell you this. The novel tells the story of Santiago, a boy who has a dream and the courage to follow it. After listening to the signs, the boy goes on a personal journey of exploration and self-discovery that takes him far and wide. This is a fiction novel that explores themes of fate and interconnectedness of all things, patience, and magical realism. A key idea in the novel is the idea that the universe conspires to help a person succeed, making the novel an inspiring read. And isn't that a beautiful idea when you think about it? It's worth noting that magical realism is a literary genre or style associated especially with Latin America that incorporates fantastic or mythical elements into otherwise realistic fiction. And this novel is a prime example of this literary genre, so you'll be reading high-quality contemporary literature when you're reading this book. When I taught this book in an ESL course 3 levels below freshman composition, the students adored the themes, and most students had an easy time reading the book, with some discussion support, of course. The students kept vocabulary journals so that they could keep track of new vocabulary. A vocabulary journal I used in class is linked in the comment section below. The Alchemist meets the standards for grades 9th through 10th in terms of reading range and text complexity. However, it's a good book for English learners because it's written in a more simplistic way than some of the other literature. Some say the book is more self-help than literature, and most of my students agreed with that. Many of my students said the message inspired them and helped them improve their lives. Coelho's writing is simple yet profound, with interesting characters and unexpected plot twists. The book is a page-turner that'll leave you feeling inspired and uplifted. I genuinely love this book, and I recommend it regularly to my students. Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea what the book is like. It's a force that appears to be negative, but actually shows you how to realize your personal legend. It prepares your spirit and your will, because there's one great truth on this planet. Whoever you are or whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. Even when all you want to do is travel or marry the daughter of a textile merchant, yes, or even search for treasure, the soul of the world is nourished by people's happiness and also unhappiness, envy, and jealousy. To realize one's personal legend is a person's only real obligation. All things are one. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. They were both silent for a time, observing the plaza and the townspeople. It was the old man who spoke first. The next book is a graphic novel adaptation of a longer novel with the same name, titled Parable of the Sower. If you like science fiction and speculative fiction, then this is the book for you. Parable of the Sower is a novel about a dystopian future where society has fallen apart because of factors like global warming, corporate greed, and growing wealth inequality. According to Merriam-Webster, dystopian means an imagined world or society in which people lead dehumanized, fearful lives. It's told from the perspective of Lauren Olamina, a preacher's daughter living in Los Angeles who's protected by the walls of her gated community. It follows her journey in understanding herself and her society as her small world is forced to change. The story is about faith, hope, the acceptance of change, and the need for resilience. Parable of the Sower is ideal for English learners because the images and chunks of text are easy to process. So that way you can focus on the deeper story that contains so many parallels to American society today. Note that this graphic novel won the Hugo Award in 2021 for Best Graphic Story or Comic. The Hugo Award is an annual literary award for the best science fiction or fantasy works and achievements. Now, I recommend the graphic novel adaptation because it's easier to read, yet still tells the same story as the longer, more complex novel. Be sure to search for the title, Parable of the Sower, a graphic novel adaptation, adapted by Damien Duffy and John Jennings. My students are always blown away by how similar the events in the story are to what's happening in the US today. The original book, not the adaptation, but the original, was written by Octavia Butler in 1993, and she wrote the novel based on what she predicted might happen in an imagined world of 2024. So it's unsettlingly accurate. Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea what the book is like. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Earthseed, the Books of the Living. Saturday, July 20th, 2024. I had my recurring dream last night. I guess I should have expected it. It comes to me when I struggle, when I try to be my father's daughter. Me, 7 years old. So last night, I dreamed a reminder that it's all a lie. My stepmother, Corazon Olamina. A gift of God, may sear unready fingers. Earthseed, the Books of the Living. Another good read is House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. This is a coming-of-age novel that explores themes of identity, community, and poverty through the eyes of a Mexican-American girl in Chicago named Esperanza. It's told through a series of vignettes, that is, short passages of 1 to 3 pages. The book is written in poetic prose. House on Mango Street is a series of short, interconnected stories that depict Esperanza's experiences, dreams, and observations about her family and neighborhood of Humboldt Park, a Latino community in Chicago. The novel is known for its poetic prose, vivid imagery, and investigation of universal themes like coming of age, gender roles, identity, and belonging. The book tackles sensitive subjects like domestic violence, puberty, sexual harassment, and racism. Now, this book works really well for C1 and C2, yet it could also work for B2 as long as you go slow enough. Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea what the book is like. My name. In English, my name means hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. It means sadness. It means waiting. It is like the number 9, a muddy color. It is the Mexican records my father plays on Sunday mornings when he is shaving, songs like Sobbing. It was my great-grandmother's name, and now it is mine. She was a horse of a woman too, born like me in the Chinese year of the horse, which is supposed to be bad luck if you're born female, but I think this is a Chinese lie because the Chinese, like the Mexicans, don't like their women strong. My great-grandmother, I would have liked to have known her, a wild horse of a woman, so wild she wouldn't marry until my great-grandfather threw a sack over her head and carried her off, just like that, as if she were a fancy chandelier. That's the way he did it. And the story goes she never forgave him. She looked out the window her whole life the way so many women sit their sadness on an elbow. I wonder if she made the best with what she got, or was she sorry because she couldn't be all the things she wanted to be. Esperanza. I have inherited her name, but I don't want to inherit her place by the window. At school, they say my name funny, as if the syllables were made out of tin and hurt the roof of their mouth. But in Spanish, my name is made out of a softer something, like silver, not quite as thick as my sister's name, Magdalena, which is uglier than mine. Magdalena, who at least can come home and become Neni. But I am always Esperanza. I would like to baptize myself under a new name, a name more like the real me, the one nobody sees. Esperanza as Lisandra or Maritza or Zizi, the X. Yes, something like Zizi the X will do. Another favorite is American-Born Chinese by Jean Luen Yang, which is a graphic novel that explores themes of identity, friendship, and personal transformation through 3 stories. The novel also explores how these themes can affect relationships and self-perception. It tells 3 linked stories from the perspective of Jin Wang, a boy who feels like an outsider at his new school, Danny, a white boy, and a monkey from the Chinese myth. The book's purpose is to encourage young adults to accept who they are. It's fairly easy to read and The coming-of-age themes make it very relatable for a wide audience, especially people interested in learning about the experiences of a second-generation Asian American here in the US. This book is a favorite of my students because the author and illustrator tells a very complex story about identity using simple and accessible words and pictures. Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea what the book is like. One bright and starry night, the gods and goddesses, the demons and the spirits gathered in heaven for a dinner party. Your peaches are looking especially plump today, my dear. Tee-hee, oh stop it, Lao Tzu. I don't mean to boast, but that thunderstorm I put together last night impressed even myself. Their music and the scent of their wine drifted down, down, down to Flower Fruit Mountain, where flowers bloomed year-round and fruit hung heavy with nectar. And monkeys frolicked under the watchful eye of the magical Monkey King. Now the Monkey King was a deity in his own right. Legend had it that long ago, long before almost any monkey could remember, the Monkey King was born of a rock. When his eyes first opened, they flashed rays of light deep into the sky. All of the heaven took notice. What the? Soon after, he purged Flower Mountain of the tiger spirit that had haunted it for centuries. He established his kingdom, and monkeys from the four corners of the world flocked to him. The next book is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. The book tells the story of Junior, a budding cartoonist growing up in the Spokane Indian Reservation in Oregon. Determined to take his future into his own hands, Junior leaves his troubled school on the reservation to attend an all-white farmtown school, where the only other Indian at school is the mascot, which is tragic and racist. Indian is another word for Native American or First Peoples, as they're called in Canada. They were the first people living in the US before any immigrants came to the US. This book explores themes of belonging, poverty, loss, and racism, and hope. Even though this is the only book on this list that's targeted towards young adults, that is, students between 12 and 15, it's still a book that adults might read and find interesting and relatable. My language learner students and native-speaking students enjoyed this book as well, especially students who don't naturally gravitate towards books. What differentiates this book from other books in this video is the more wholesome content. The book is targeted towards young adults, so this book is more wholesome than the stories Sold or even Parable of the Sower, which have adult themes in them. Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea what the book is like. The Black Eye of the Month Club. I was born with water on the brain. Okay. So that's not exactly true. I was actually born with too much cerebral spinal fluid inside my skull. But cerebral spinal fluid is just the doctor's fancy way of saying brain grease, like car grease works inside an engine. It keeps things running smooth and fast. But weirdo me, I was born with too much grease inside my skull, and it got all thick and muddy and disgusting, and it only mucked up the works. My thinking and breathing and living engine slowed down and flooded. My brain was drowning in grease, but that makes the whole thing sound weirdo and funny, like my brain was a giant French fry. So it seems more serious and poetic and accurate to say I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so maybe that's not a very serious way to say it either. Maybe the whole thing is weird and funny. But geez, did my mother and father and big sister and grandma and cousins and aunts and uncles think it was funny when the doctor cut open my little skull and sucked out all that extra water with some tiny vacuum? I was only 6 months old, and I was supposed to croak during the surgery. And even if I somehow survived the mini Hoover, I was supposed to suffer serious brain damage during the procedure and live the rest of my life as a vegetable. Well, I obviously survived the surgery. I wouldn't be writing this if I didn't. Sold. The main theme of Sold by Patricia McCormick is triumph over adversity, hope, and determination. The book was written in 2008, and it's historical fiction about a 13-year-old girl named Lakshmi who's sold into prostitution by her Indian stepfather. The book is written in vignettes and explores themes of human trafficking, loss of innocence, and the emotional turmoil of victims. This book covers adult themes and it sheds light on the harsh realities of human trafficking and the resilience of the human spirit. It's worth noting that this book is a National Book Award finalist. As a reader, you'll likely remain hopeful throughout the novel while you feel the sense of suspense knowing that some kind of horror could occur at any moment. It's considered world literature due to the mature themes of prostitution and rape. It's often used in higher classes because of this. Some say the book's graphic nature makes it inappropriate for children, preteens, and teens under the age of 18, which is how old a person has to be in the US to be considered an adult. I personally haven't used this book in my classroom because I try to use coming-of-age stories that are motivational. Still, this is for sure a read that could keep an adult language learner engaged, and the vignette-style stories make it easier to follow. One online reviewer writes, "While the descriptions are vague when she's raped, that is what is happening. I had a small group of 8th graders read it. They loved it. They did not believe that it was based on true stories." Here's a short excerpt to give you an idea of what the book is like. A tin roof. "One more rainy season and our roof will be gone," says Amma. "My mother is standing on a log ladder inspecting the thatch, and I am on the ground handing the laundry up to her so it can bake dry in the afternoon sun. There are no clouds in sight, no hint of rain, no chance of it for weeks. There is no use in telling Amma this, though. She is looking down the mountain at the rice terraces that descend step by step to the village below, at the neighbors' tin roofs winking cruelly back at her. A tin roof means that the family has a father who doesn't gamble away the landlord's money playing cards in the tea shop. A tin roof means the family has a son working at the brick kiln in the city. A tin roof means that when the rains come, the fire stays lit and the baby stays healthy. Let me go to the city, I say. I can work for a rich family like Gita does and send my wages home to you." Amma strokes my cheek, the skin of her work-worn hands as rough as the tongue of a newborn goat. "Lakshmi, my child," she says, "you must stay in school no matter what your stepfather says." Lately, I want to tell her my stepfather looks at me the same way he looks at the cucumbers I'm growing in front of our hut. He flicks the ashes from his cigarette and squints. "You had better get a good price for them," he says. When he looks, he sees cigarettes and rice spear, a new vest for himself. I see a tin roof. As an English professor, I love reading. And during this semester, I'm always so busy teaching classes and working with my students. But over the summer, I will be having a book club. And if you're interested in joining my book club, go ahead and fill out the form linked in the description. You'll add your name to the waiting list, and then when the book club is available, I will let you know.
I'd love to read your comments and respond to them, because that's the most important part.